Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. You are listening to Beyond the Barriers with Coach Cindy
and Mayor Sherry. On the Beyond the Barriers radio show, we believe we have the power to change the trajectory of our economic, social, health, and education outcomes by removing barriers that lie within historically excluded communities through cooperative models.
And our show sponsors is Sand Hills Cooperation Association, located at 348 North Main Street, Troy, North Carolina, serving 5 counties: Montgomery, Randolph, Moore, Richmond, and Stanley County.
Today we're discussing policy pioneers navigating advocacy in community. In this episode, we illuminate the crucial role of policy pioneers in influencing and addressing the unique needs of historically excluded communities. Join us for insightful interviews with representatives from the NAACP at the forefront of advocacy. Together, we'll explore the strategies, challenges, and successes in navigating the complex landscape of policymaking to bring about meaningful change. Whether you're passionate about civic engagement or simply curious about the forces driving policy evolution, this episode is a must listen.
And joining us in the studio today is George Knight, the former president of the North Carolina branch of NAACP Montgomery County, and the former county commissioner, and Mr. Chip Foust, the current president of Randolph County branch of NAACP and the chairman of the George Washington Carver Enrichment Center.
Ready to ignite change? Sand Hills Cooperation Association empowers historically excluded communities, helping them become self-sufficient. Join us every Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. for our Beyond the Barriers radio show on WDRB Media with Mayor Sherry
and Coach Cindy, addressing community challenges. Visit us at sandhillscooperation.org or visit us on Facebook, Sand Hills Cooperation Association, building brighter futures one community at a time.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
How do you feel like Dr. King, how was he a policy pioneer?
I think if there were ever a policy pioneer, it was Martin Luther King. However, I'm not sure that his mission was policy change. Maybe it was, and he knew how to step his way up to it, because it seems like to me he was first trying to get the Black community on one accord, to get them out to marching and advocating for themselves. And then he started talking about, the disparities, and he talked about those things are connected to policy.
Right.
And so I think he is the true definition of a policy pioneer for our communities.
Right.
Because he worked with us first to get us together, moving in step, and then he started addressing the things that have been an issue in our communities with them. And I think I actually believe that's why he was so despised by policymakers, is because he was challenging them in the work that they do. And those policies definitely was not speaking to our communities.
Right.
How about you? What are you thinking?
As it relates to Dr. King, I agree as far as being a policy pioneer. Some people start out one way, not realizing the full effect of what they're doing. Okay, I just wanted y'all to just let me sit in the front of the bus, like Rosa Parks. I'm just tired. I want to sit down and I don't want to go in the back. But not realizing that what I'm feeling and the rights that I believe that I should have, whenever that is promoted and whenever we engage in that thing, it doesn't have to be some way pie in the sky, but it can be personal, that we can personally be policy pioneers by addressing the things that directly impact us. So when we see injustices, we can go after that. And I really believe Dr. King, like you said, he didn't start out saying, I'm going here to change all the policies. But these are the things that I am experiencing, and those close to my heart are experiencing it. So I need to do something about that. And that's what I appreciate about today's guest as well, because these are true policy pioneers.
Yes, I totally agree with you, is that they, in their own rights, have definitely moved that needle in policies toward equity. And it's a work. And when I look at Martin Luther King and you talk about Rosa Parks, it was portrayed as a woman, I'm tired and I need to sit down and I'm not going to go to the back of the bus. But she had been trained. So it was subtle. And I think that was purposeful. I think they did that because they didn't want to just come out and jab somebody in the nose with policy change. They wanted it to be very clear, like, this is what's happening, and your policies are not addressing it. And they even advocate this kind of behavior. And my people are not going to live with that anymore. But first, you have to get your own house in order. And I think he did a lot of organizing within his community in order to get them in a place where they could actually be a picture of, listen, there's a policy that's got to happen.
Right.
There's a policy change that must happen. And we're not going to stop till it does happen.
That's good.
And I think that we need to understand that as we are organizing communities, as we are looking into policies, because you and I both know there are times when you're standing up for people and you look around, they ain't there.
They're nowhere to be found.
And it's not, it may not even be because they don't want to support what you're doing. They may not understand it.
Right.
But if you organize community and you get them on the same page and get them understanding that they have shared experiences, it ain't just you going through it, ain't just your family, but this whole community is suffering from these disparities.
Right.
So if we come together, if we band together, then we can address it as one voice.
That's good.
And I think that's what Martin's mission was, because honestly, until he actually started talking about policy change, until he put it in the realm of economics.
Right.
Yeah, they were spraying him down with hoses, but his life was threatened at that point. His life was taken at that point. He started the campaign, Poor People's Campaign.
Right.
Because it stopped being just about people of color. When you put it in the economic realm, there were people that didn't look like us was going through the same disparities we were going through.
Right.
And we tend to forget that when all I see in our neighborhood is people that look like me.
Right.
But it's happening. It's happening in poor white neighborhoods as well. I think he was very strategic. I think we need to take lessons.
Yeah, I think so too. You go back to that community organizing piece, and we do have a clip of the Dr. King event that occurred in Montgomery County. What I was able to do is to get clips of the speech of Dr. King. Eris Baldwin, who did the speech, he started out with at a Dr. King march. Afterwards, in Montgomery County, there will be a brief youth show. And Eris Baldwin, he did his first time doing the speech was there, and he was like just a little boy at the time. It was very good to see him and to hear him. He's grown so much. This actual banquet from the Montgomery County branch, they awarded Mr. George Knight, and they celebrated him as well. So that's in the clip, some of the interviews from the march as well, and what Dr. King meant to them. We're going to listen to that, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Beyond the Barriers radio show with your host, Mayor Sherry.
And Coach Cindy.
And we'll be right back after this.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with the new meaning. My country, tears of thee, sweet land of liberty. Oh, thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
I want to thank God. I want to thank God. I am receiving this reward for those people that was behind me in this county. You can't just go along just to be getting along. You can't do that. Make sure when you go after something, make sure that you are in the right. Anywhere there is a decision made about you, your family, or your children, you need to be somewhere, or somebody needs to be somewhere where they can see what's going on. If you're going to be a leader, be a leader. Don't be up there with your chest out, getting all the recognition or something like that. Don't do that. Work for the people. Let me go.
So I'm doing an interview on what this march means to you, Dr. Martin Luther King. What does it mean to you?
It basically just showcases how people can all come together from the words of a great man, basically, and still happening up until 2024. It's a beautiful thing.
It means a lot more to me knowing that my grandma was the one who started this tradition in the city, and being able to continue her legacy, knowing that she's looking down upon us, smiling and proud that we still live in Martin Luther King's dream and then her dream as well. And then for us to take the mantle and continue it and pay it forward to the next generation.
It means that all color, black and white, should join together as peace, where race and color shouldn't be a thing, that we're all human, that we bleed the same color and eat the same thing and drink the same things, and that we should love each other no matter what.
So how many years have you been marching?
This is actually my 3rd year.
Okay,
marching.
Now why is it that you feel it's necessary for us to continue this tradition?
It is very necessary, especially for Miss Harris. She was one that carried this legacy forever, and we're just going to try to continue it out for her.
So what does this march mean for you?
It means a lot. It means change. It means progress. And, just to see progress. Been here 68 years, and Bisco has came a long way. We got a long way to go, but still headed in that direction. And
that's good.
Every year that we do this proves that we still got that hope Dr. Martin Luther King left with us. I just counted a blessing that the Lord allowed me to be here another year and to be in this march today. It means the world, and I try not to miss now. And so far, the Lord has blessed me, and I thank Him. He give me the health and strength, to walk it. And I thank everybody. Thank God for all those that's out here, the young and the old. The old knowing where we came from, what we went through, even right here in Bisco. During the segregation time. We came a long way. I know things kind of look grim in a lot of countries. God is still God. He's not going to change. His promises is out there. All we got to do is cling on it, grab on it, and hold on to him. One day,
I'm telling you, one
day he's coming back. We're going to have to stand before his son. That's what I live for.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
If you're just tuning in, we're discussing policy pioneers, navigating advocacy in community. Joining us in the studio is one of today's guests. Let's welcome to our show none other than Mr. George Knight. Mr. George Knight is known for being very controversial at times, is he not?
He is. But if you want to know the truth, then George Knight is who you need to hear.
Yes.
What I say to you, I'll say it to anybody.
Okay.
See, that's the way I am.
Okay.
Because my stuff is true.
Okay.
See, when you tell the truth, you can tell the same thing.
Right.
Our community, we went from picking cotton, working in the mill. When I was graduating in 58, they were hiring maybe 1 or 2 black women by then.
Burnt the
They
crosses.
started burning them crosses and breaking out windows in this dude's house. They hired these women, and it took them out of other jobs.
Right.
See? Population is booming, and the guys are coming back from service. So things were booming. Little money circulating.
Now, what year was this?
About 54, 55.
We still had businesses inside of our communities at the time, too. Still had mechanics and...
Oh, yeah.
We still had...
Sean Chambers.
You
know Mr. Sean Chambers, Levon Chambers' daddy?
Had a laundromat,
He had a mechanic shop.
And
you know why Levon became an attorney?
Why?
His daddy fixes white man's car.
That's in his story. You talking about Julius.
Julius Chambers.
Julius Chambers. His daddy used Julius Chambers' money to fix this man's car. This man got his car and didn't pay him, and he couldn't do nothing about it. Julius Chambers didn't get a chance to go to the private school like his brothers and sisters. He said, "I'll fix them."
Why do we not highlight Julius Chambers here in Montgomery County?
I know his businesses was in Charlotte, but
he
in
lived
some of
in
his
South Carolina.
In some of his stories, though, he talked about Montgomery County, being from Montgomery County.
Seamus became an attorney, and he was working for black rights and stuff.
Yeah.
They burned his daddy's shop.
The
Who
black
burned it?
people burnt his
The white folks
The
burnt
white folks did,
them
okay.
folkses. They burnt his shop twice down there.
So they put fear in the people from even.
He couldn't do nothing in Montgomery County
Gotcha.
because he had his family here. So he never got a chance to work in Montgomery County. When he worked with us, he didn't have nobody in Montgomery County. When we decided to use him, he was able to help. We didn't do a whole lot in the 50s as far as demonstrating, and so we were aware of trying to change. Black is beautiful. See, black wasn't beautiful back in the day. Hey, you look at Peabody. Peabody didn't have no black cheerleaders.
Yeah, they were light skinned.
Not cheerleader. What you call them folks
The band,
in front of the band
drill
and stuff?
team. The drill team.
They were light skinned.
Yeah, we had issues among ourselves about our own color.
We didn't want to be black. My dad said, if you drink this coffee, you'll be black. I didn't drink no coffee. I didn't want to be black. It was like that. Little girls got white dolls. James Brown come out there and said,
say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud.
Right, that's it.
Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
That's right. Hey, we went through some changes in the mid and late 50s and early 60s. I went in the Marine Corps and I couldn't participate in a lot of things that were going on. The demonstrations, the only way I participated was being part of controlling riots, breaking up mobs. We were trained in case the president needed us.
When you came back to Montgomery County, and you did talk a little bit about how you had to make connections with people that weren't your color in order to learn how to engage your own people.
I got involved. I wasn't even registered to vote when I came back.
Oh, okay.
I was 38 years old. We didn't do too much in the military as far as voting and everything because you couldn't talk about it. Your president was your president. When they said go, you go where he say go.
So what was your wake up?
I look around me, ain't nobody doing nothing. No black folks in office. I got
so
involved. I had my tires done over in Namar. The man told me how we could get the redistricting done.
Right.
He gave me the GS
general stature.
Okay.
Right.
The general stature. He gave me the number. I went and I got it, looked it up, and it told me what I could do.
Okay.
I came back to Gail Myers.
Okay, that's well. So who actually helped you? I know you said Miss Almeida was a very intricate part to get involved.
Just had me doing everything. She had me be in the precinct chair. She had me going. She had me involved into the
community
the
activities.
network.
Right, great.
Gail Miles was up there. She had the ability to run off copies.
Okay.
Typewriter.
She was at the
housing. Was at the housing. She was in charge up there.
Okay.
Me and Gail would fuss, but we got it done.
Exactly.
See, I said, Gail, we got to do this. I went back to the NAACP. I was chairing the NAACP. I went back and I recommended that Gail chair the Political Action Committee. That's how we could get involved.
Right.
The Political Action Committee. Gail started chairing the Political Action Committee, and I had people working in the NAACP. All these churches, Mother of the Year. I visit the churches. See, that's what you got to do. You got to learn the people in this county. I wasn't worrying about District 3. Black folks in this county was my interest. I wanted to work for the people in this county. I wanted to know what they needed. Water run to their houses. There were so many needs.
But all this happened before you were commissioner or after you became commissioner?
Some of it happened before I became commissioner. Because see, right now, we getting ready to work on these districts. You have got to use the law when you can. See, and we could use the law 5 years ago, but nobody was using it. Here I am, my mama say, boy, them folk gonna kill you out there. I didn't care. I had no fear. You got to have no fear. My Lord said he didn't give me a spirit of fear.
That's right. That's right.
So what am I going to fear?
Exactly.
That's right.
I had no fear. I went at it. Plus I had all them women behind me. And I had them women old. I couldn't, you couldn't tell me nothing. We could do what we wanted to do. I said, we're going to raise money so that we can pay the attorney. Them mothers of the year turned in them thousands and thousands of dollars. Oh, Miss Troublefield was my secretary. I loved all of them women.
They did the work, didn't
So
they?
what is it? So tell me this, because we're even seeing this today, the divide between the east and the west side. Like if there's something happening on the west.
You know when that started?
When was that?
You remember when somebody ran against me for county commissioner? Things ain't been right since. When we got the districts done, Gail, Almeida went to the school board.
Yeah.
Didn't nobody even think about running against. We put Ralph in the county commissioner. They wouldn't give us 7 districts. Because the county commissioner wouldn't.
Right.
So we had to take,
the school board did.
our percentage was 1 out of 5, but we could get 2 out of 7. County commissioners wouldn't agree on that. That's when we became divided. Up until then, we did it the way we wanted to do.
So even though there was some opposition, but were y'all still banding together for the good of the community?
Nobody worked against each other.
Exactly.
I wanted people to work with the NAACP.
Okay, gotcha.
The NAACP have an office for anything you want to do. School, anything you want can be done within the NAACP. They got attorneys you can go to. You got everything you need.
Right.
You use what you got. You don't, if I can work in the NAACP and get water run to places, just do things that bring black folks up. You get involved. You know, I was so proud to be part of the NAACP. I found an NAACP membership card when I was small. Man, I was so proud of that thing.
Wow.
If I stuck my hand in my pocket when it came out, it had that card. I thought that NAACP card was something. And when I moved back home and became a member of the NAACP, man, I was somebody.
It had arrived.
Dr. King was our leader, right? Everybody else wanted to be a leader too. Dr. King had fame. He was doing it for, not for himself, not for any fame or anything. He was doing it for us, not only for the black, but for the whole country. But you had other folk, I want a piece of this. I want some of this fame.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to start my stuff over here.
But what happens is in most organizations, when you see a split, like when a split happens in a church, when a split happens in an organization, it's because you do have leadership with different ideologies. And so instead of crushing, I mean, sometimes even Abraham and Lot, I mean, sometimes it just gets too big for one person to, 2 people to stay together. And you have to break off and don't mean your mission changed. It don't mean that you don't want the same liberty for all. But
Get rid of that mentality. That's what I tell black folks. Get rid of that mentality. Churches separating, they can't stay together. We ain't never been able to stay together. I'm serious.
Well, I think
we have never been able to stay together. We got to stay. That's the only way we got anything done in this county. We all black.
Well,
here.
I mean, I think the things that separate us matter. If I'm separating because you live in one place and I live in the other, that's pretty ignorant to do that. That's a pretty foolish thing to do. If I'm separating because your idea is better than mine, that's a pretty bad.
It ain't. It's not your idea.
Right.
See,
it should be a collective idea.
I told you I don't want to claim nothing.
Right.
It was not my idea. I knew the superintendent. You got to know the superintendent of your school. You got to go down and talk to that man and tell him what about clothing the achievement gap. You got to talk about these things. You got to know about them to start with. It's got to be a county-wide thing.
Right.
This county is a big county, but we don't have that many black folks.
Yeah, we don't. It's
What is it,
19%.
We're working to reignite some fires that have been watered down or simmered down. What do you think y'all had then that we need now?
Togetherness. You need to be able to work as a county some kind of way. I had help from Ralph, from the people over there. The one thing I'm telling you now,
Yes,
you
I
watch
believe
this county fall apart. It's on its way right now.
We're not gonna let.
We're gonna leave here one day. The things that we do is got to have a lasting effect.
Right.
Don't do things just for today. Don't do nothing just for today. Do it for a lasting effect. But self gonna leave here. We got to do things to benefit people on. That's the attitude you got to have. Your church. You want people to go to end up with that eternal life, not just pay their light bill today.
Right. I know you're right. I know we need togetherness. We need cohesive community. Matter of fact, that's what I've been doing in my community coaching. We've been talking about. I've been talking about cohesive community, and it's a fellowship. It's not just me joining the NAACP. It's not just me being a part, but it's really that connection that you talk about. You weren't just the president of the NAACP, but you had supporting members.
These people have a lot of knowledge that they can use. These people could be useful in the NAACP. County commissioner, sit up there with them folks. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Know what you're doing. Right. When you get there, see, don't let nobody run over you. You speak, and if it's wrong, you tell them right there. See, the newspaper thought that I would be afraid to do anything because they were going to print it. You remember back when they were printing me?
Right. Well, because we are told that we got to follow rules. We got to follow this is this. But yet others feel like they have the leisure to do it their own way.
You got to know. You got state statutes that would say they cannot go on. They call an intermission like if you've been there for 2 hours and you need to go to the bathroom or something like that.
Right.
Call an intermission. And told them police to come and get me. And they took me out of there after they told me I was under arrest. And they didn't tell me what I was under arrest for. Because I told them, I sat there and told them, I said, now, you are wrong because you can't take me out of this meeting. The only reason you can keep me from being in here is that I commit a felony.
Right.
That's what the law says.
Right.
If I commit a felony, you can lock me up and I can't be here. But I haven't committed no felony. So you ain't supposed to take me out. Well, you on no arrest and I said, well, okay, I'm not going to resist arrest.
Right.
We're not going to make a scene.
Right.
So what charges did they make? What?
Disturbing the peace.
Because you was objecting in a meeting. Because you
I wasn't objecting. I was just interrupting because I wanted to tell him about what was going on. But he wouldn't let me. He done told me he ain't having no something out of you.
Right.
But I've been doing this all along, ever since he been chair. Because he didn't know what he was doing. And I was correcting him. I did some things up there, just like the consent agenda that they put on there. You ever heard about the meeting before the meeting?
Right, that's what they do.
I knew about that. But state statute says that a member of the board can take any all off the consent agenda and put it on the floor one at a time and discuss it.
Sure can.
And vote on it. I did it on one night. We stayed there at 2 o'clock. They had all the stuff on the consent agenda, and I'm asking questions. I already know what the answer. He didn't like that because he said it in the courthouse. Now he always asking questions, and you know what the answer is. You owe it to your audience.
Right.
The people sitting out there in the audience, your constituents, you owe it to them that they know what's going on. Yes, I know, but do they know? If we talk about it, they'll know. The law says that you as a member can take one or all. Read state statute. It tells you. You can
take
do
it off the consent.
That consent agenda is what they done got together
That's
and told the manager to put it on there.
Then
and
decided
the second
already.
thing they vote on is the consent agenda.
Right.
And everybody say yes.
And don't even have no idea
what's on there. You have got to take part in everything. What I did when I served on the board of the college board when they were meeting, trying to decide whether we get a single high school or when we were combining. I made sure that I was on that committee. I got to know what's going on in my schools. And I'm going to go back and tell the whole county. And the school board told 30 people, you go out there in the world and you find out what we need to do with our schools. Do we need one high school, two middle schools? Do we need all 4 of these middle schools, or do we need 2? Or what? We used to have 4 middle schools in the county. We didn't need no 4 middle schools.
What was it? Mount Gilead, Troy, Candor, and Bisco.
You need to get involved. You need to get together until you can get the black folk together. Everybody except the white folks is counted in with the black folks now. As
minority. Gotcha.
Well, that ain't the way we fought. You are black. You been here. You done picked these folks cotton. You done worked in their mills.
Right.
You done made them all of this money.
So tell me this: what can we rally around here in Montgomery County as blacks? Because we got to have something that brings us together, like a mission or purpose. What can that purpose or that mission be?
Keep your seats that we work for one thing.
Okay.
You got to figure out how you're going to keep them. But we were together. We were together enough to where they said, okay, George, I didn't want to run. I'm in NAACP.
Right.
Okay, now we want you to take Ralph's place to run. Didn't nobody run against me. We were together. I was going to get the support of the county. Ralph ran. The people were mad because they redrew them districts. So they put Ralph back in there. You have to study. You have to know. I knew how many blacks was in Canada. We had 14 precincts. I knew how many blacks. That's the main thing for a leader. Keep your people together. Your church, keep your people together. That's the main thing. Get together. Right. You're going to have to figure out some way to get the black people in this county on one accord.
After we come back from the break, we will continue our discussion on policy pioneers, navigating advocacy in the community with Mr. Chip Foust.
Attention community leaders and change makers. The Black Journey Continues Conference is back on February 24, 2024 at Montgomery Community College, 1011 Page Street, Troy, North Carolina. Join us for a day of empowerment and inspiration. Engage in thought-provoking sessions and panels on the power of community. Celebrate our community leaders at the awards luncheon. Doors open at 9:00 a.m. with breakfast and lunch included. Vendor spaces are available and tickets can be purchased on Eventbrite. Contact 910-573-3070 or visit sandhillscooperation.org for details. This is your chance to be a part of something bigger. Sponsorship opportunities and ad purchases are available. Visit sandhillscooperation.org. Don't miss the Black Journey Continues Conference, where community strength takes center stage. See you there.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.
If you're just tuning in, we're discussing policy pioneers, navigating advocacy in community. We have in our studio another wonderful guest who is doing a lot of great things in his community. Let's welcome to the show none other than Mr. Chip Foust. So firstly, can you introduce yourself and the things that you do in the big county of Randolph?
Okay, sure. My name is Chip Foust. I am the president of the Asheboro Randolph County NAACP. I'm also the president of the George Washington Carver Community Enrichment Center. I'm also a proud, happy father of 2 amazing teenage girls. So y'all pray for a brother.
Oh, believe me, I understand. Well, welcome to Beyond the Barriers broadcast. We just appreciate the work that you're doing there in Randolph, especially over there. I know by GWCC, you all have a lot of Black businesses over there, as well as other community organizations and churches. As the president of the NAACP, how can they help contribute to the efforts and the initiatives that you all are doing there at GWCC as well as the NAACP?
We are actually having Black Business Expo that's coming up, and the local church up the street, Greater St. John's, is letting us use their parking lot. There are many times when GWCC is booked, and the NAACP meeting usually takes place at GWCC, and Greater St. John's will open their doors and let us meet there. There are, tons of organizations. Village of Barnabas Initiative for Change is doing mentoring with young kids at one of the elementary schools, and because that is something that is in line with our values, we're glad to support that. We're glad to be part of that mentoring program to help out. It's something that they're running and that we're just a part of. We had something a few years ago where we took a busload of kids to meet Black self-made millionaires, to be able to visit their homes, look at their businesses, and have lunch with them and tour with them. We put that deal together. I mean, we put the event together, but the kids came from the Boys and Girls Club, and the kids came from the Initiative for Change, or the and Eastside Improvement Association helped find the kids for that event. So it's finding things that we can all be passionate about. We don't have to agree on everything. And there's some things that people aren't going to be passionate about, and that's fine. We don't want to discourage people or turn people away because they don't agree with us on this one issue. Right. We're fighting a lot of different fronts. You know what? If we're not 100% together on this one, that's fine. I don't want to say or do something that's going to stop you from helping us over here. If you're not with us on the Confederate monument removal, which I can't see why you wouldn't be, but if you weren't, that's fine. We still need help when it comes to tutoring kids in their math homework after schools on Saturday. So can you help us there? Or these individuals are running for public office. Can you help us get the word out about these people? It's about, not trying to pigeonhole people into corners that they don't really believe in. And that to me is also important from our standpoint. If I'm about to go into a battle, I don't want to go into a battle with somebody who's lukewarm. If you don't want to be there, I don't want you there.
Exactly.
Right? I would rather do battle with 10 people who are 10 toes on the line ready to go than I would with 100 people and 90 of them don't want to be there. Because that means you're going to have a lot of people on my side getting in the way.
Exactly. How do you feel like local media is fostering your community engagement?
I don't think they got it yet. I really don't think they got it yet. They'll come down and they'll spend an entire day. We did something for Juneteenth where we created a 100-foot long memorial to the slaves from Randolph County. And they had news press there that was all day. And every time we talked to the press, we wanted to really drive in the point of why we were doing it, and we had bullet points. These are the reasons, why we were doing it. Randolph County was anti-Confederate. Confederates actually killed and executed Randolph County citizens who refused to join the Confederacy. To find those deserters, they raped and tortured Randolph County women. And for years, they denied that there was a large slave population in Randolph County. And we've got documentation to show that that's true. We told every reporter that. None of that made it to any of the afternoon news media. Newscast. None of it made it into the newspapers. None of it made it into and I'm talking about all 3 of the major television stations. were told the exact same thing. The two largest newspapers were told the exact same thing. None of that got in. All that gets in is we had an event, this many people showed up, that's it.
And well, and sadly, that's typical.
Right.
Anything that challenges the way that they view their leadership or their power, they're not going to put that out there.
And it's sad because as we are leaders in the community looking to change these narratives, looking to bring progress into our communities as well as the entire county, the forces that be can be so stuck in a position, in a place to where they want to really write their own history. And so since that history, that the real history comes out, since it doesn't match the narrative that they've had in the past, then it's often challenged. And media is often used in order to keep that same narrative out there.
Yes.
Now, looking at the media as well as the residents and everyone around that you yourself want to be active and involved and take an active role in the mission of the NAACP there in Randolph County, the mission of GWCC. Can you tell me, how can we encourage residents to take an active role?
Well, what I would suggest is that we create and we make sure that we fully understand our position. We document and fully understand our position. And then we create an atmosphere for people to want to join us, right? And so the politician and a real preacher are two different people. A politician is going to go out into the audience and see what the audience wants. And then he's going to create his platform based on what the audience wants to hear. A preacher is going to tell the truth to everybody. He understands that 90% of the people aren't going to agree with what he's saying or be motivated to move, but that 10% that do agree with him, now he's got a church, right? Or she's got a church. I think that what we have to do is we have to believe in what we're doing the way the preacher believes in God. Right? The way the preacher believes in what he's professing. And then we have to create opportunities to get that message out all over the place. And when you do that, we have to be strategic in the way that we acquire information. In other words, it's much easier to keep a customer. Let me just put it from a business standpoint, right? It's much easier to keep a customer than it is to get a customer. It's a lot cheaper to retain a customer than it is to get one. And so when we put our message out and we talk about the things that we're passionate about and we find people who agree with us, who are like-minded, we have to have in place strategies that will keep that person engaged once we have them. And so it's not just about having a rally, for instance. It's about having a rally and getting email addresses and getting Facebook posts and having QR codes so that anybody who agrees with you, it's easy for that person to stay engaged with you. And then you grow your base from the inside out. You don't try to jump on every new thing, every bandwagon. Just because a group of people like this, that doesn't mean that's where your organization needs to go. Your organization has a mission statement. It has value, and those values guide you. And so you just keep putting out your content and your information, and then you make sure that you have a robust strategy in place to harness the power of those new individuals who decide to join your movement.
That is powerful.
That is.
And, you should be writing strategic moves and publishing it.
Right, and putting it in our communities because that is very good. Actually, what you just said needs to be something that all of our organizations that's serving historically excluded communities, it should be a handbook for them because this is a lot of people, they're just forming and they're gathering, but they're gathering without purpose and strategy. So they're just saying, okay, well, we got this happening in the neighborhood and we need to rally together. But what ends up happening is the rally happens, but then it dissolves. It's just based upon emotions and how we're feeling at the time. But whenever strategy is attached, then we can get something done.
Absolutely.
Right. We got to remember that the adversary is professional, right? Especially, let's say you're talking about county government. Your people get emotional and we're mad and we're ready to do business and we want want change. And so we're coming up and we're demanding change. Well, what we have to remember that we are the 100th to 500th time that your county government has encountered a group of citizens who wanted change. And if you've done something 500 times, you know the ins and outs of what you're doing. You know how to get around it. And so what happens to us a lot of times is we'll demand change and we'll meet our government, and our government will say, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'll look into it. And we felt good because we got them to agree to look into it. But guess what? Don't nothing change. And the reason it doesn't change is because they're professionals. They know how to smile in your face and not make the moves that your community is demanding. We have to be strategic about what we're doing. We got to understand that we can't just rest on what someone says. We got to see it done. One of the biggest, probably saddest mistakes that I've seen in our community, in the black community, was in the Ferguson riots. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson had gone to Ferguson. They were thrown out. They were asked to leave. Don't come back here. We don't want to see you all here. And the sad part about that was you had these new people who were fired up, who were ready to make change, but they shut the door on the people who had made change already in the past. The people who knew how to deal with that county commissioner or that the police chief or that county sheriff who didn't want to make the moves that needed to be made. They knew how to push and pull to create change, and we shut the door on them. And so what ended up happening was years later, during the Obama administration, where the Justice Department created a division that would actually investigate racial bias in police departments. And they found emails in Ferguson that showed that not only were there police officers, but there were members of the district attorney's office that had racial bias. And because of that, they were able to not only get those people removed, but when you are able to prove in a court that there's racial bias in your police department, you not only get rid of the bad apples, but you put everybody else there on notice. We're watching. We're watching. So we're not going to deal with this mess again. I'm glad that happened in Ferguson, but it happened years later because we don't acknowledge and we don't embrace those who came before us. And so we end up going down the same road that we've already been down and not getting any progress. The rapper Common said something that's so poignant to me. He said, wars aren't won individually. It takes the wisdom of the old and young person's energy. And it does. It takes both groups to bring about change in any event.
You said a mouthful.
Yes, that's rich conversation right there.
Real rich. And I wish we had more time. Can you, if you will, take the time to tell people how they can get in touch with you, any specific projects or events that you got coming up so that the listeners can stay in touch?
You can reach the NAACP, the Asheboro Randolph NAACP, on our Facebook page. George Washington Carver, you can reach us at GWCCAsheboro.com. That's GWCCAsheboro.com. Some of the things that we have coming up, we have the Black Expo, like I said, that's going to be February 24th, and I know you guys have an event that same day.
Right.
But it's going to be an event. We're going to have food trucks out in the parking lot. It's going to be tons of food there. Tons of shopping with black vendors from around the state will be there. So it'll be a great time to not only get some shopping in, but learn about the different resources or different businesses, black businesses, that you could patronize in the future. One thing that we're doing right now is we are historic courthouse in Randolph County, where our Confederate monument sits to this day. And our goal, again, is to get that monument moved. Real quick, I found something that was very disturbing just the other day. You know, in Randolph County during the Civil War, there were so many people that were anti-Confederate that General Robert E. Lee himself, sent a lieutenant colonel, his name was McAllister, sent McAllister down here to find and round up deserters. And McAllister was very good at his job. He shot deserters. He hung deserters. When they couldn't find deserters, their troops were ordered to abuse the family members of the deserters to find them out. And there are documented cases of women being raped and tortured to give up the hiding places of where these deserters were. Imagine that is the person who created that type of strife in Randolph County. On the day of the unveiling of our Randolph County Confederate Monument, guess who was the master of ceremonies? Colonel McAllister. Colonel McAllister was the master of ceremonies the day they unveiled our Confederate monument, which they said at the time that the Confederacy was not about slavery, even though in their own constitution it says you cannot abolish slavery, and even though the states that actually left the United States to create the Confederacy all put in writing that they were leaving because of their desire to expand and preserve Negro slavery. It wasn't just, no, it was Negro slavery. That's what they put in their Constitution. That type of misinformation is still being honored today. In North Carolina, if you look up the 8th grade curriculum, social studies curriculum, it does not give teachers guidance on slavery. It tells the teachers that they can use their own discretion to talk about slavery.
Wow.
Well, guess what that does? It allows teachers to this day to say that the Civil War was not primarily over slavery.
Wow.
That is a bold-faced lie. Parents need to start suing some of these school districts who will allow that lie to be told in their classrooms.
Right.
This has been very enriching, and definitely want to have you back on to continue to share in conversations with things that are going on in Randolph County, because unfortunately it's not just there. We are faced with our challenges with systemic racism.
But we do appreciate you. This is Beyond the Barriers with Mayor Sherry
and Coach Cindy.
And we thank you, Mr. Chip Foust out of Randolph County, for being with us on this day. And we will talk with you soon.
All right, thank you guys very much. And anytime we can help you guys in your area, please feel free to let us know, and we'll be coming.
Well, we'll see you on the 24th, and that's the day when we all get to see each other and learn how to collaborate.
Yes.
I'll be there.
All right.
Take care now.
All right, bye-bye.
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 Are you ready to embark on a journey of creativity and community spirit? Look no further than the George Washington Carver Community Enrichment Center in Asheboro. At 950 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, in the heart of Asheboro's East Side community, we're more than just a center. We're a hub of artistic expression, where a diverse range of activities, classes, and performances come to life. Our mission is simple yet powerful: to create unity and pride in our community through the arts. Join us in building a better community together. Visit gwccashboro.com to discover the magic that happens at the George Washington Carver Community Enrichment Center, where creativity knows no bounds. Building a better community through the arts.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
Hi, this is Coach Cindy with week 4 of Community Coaching 101. We've been talking for the last few sessions about cohesive community. We define what it is, we define where it's birthed, and we define how we nurture it. If you have missed the last 3 sessions, then you can always go to sandhillscooperation.org and you will be able to listen to our episodes past. We talked about showing up in fellowship and love to our community organizations that have taken on the principles of cohesive community. We talked about showing up authentically, wanting to be a part of this powerful, productive, and purposed organization. It's going to take commitment because there's a whole lot of components to having a cohesive community. There's a whole lot of different personalities in the room, different ideas in the room. And it's like a puzzle. When the parts are not fitted together properly, you cannot see the picture. But if you are part of that puzzle, you will present yourself as being part of the puzzle. You're not outside looking in. You don't go just as to observe. You don't go just to criticize or to see what's wrong with the group, but you actually show up with the commitment to work through the hard things. See if it fits here, see if it fits there. Does this and this go together? Who's the corners and who's the middle? If you are willing to walk through that process with commitment that I'm not going to give up and I'm not going to give out, I'm going to give in. I'm going to give into being a part of something that is going to bring a collective productivity to my community. Something that has a purpose to serve everyone in my community, regardless to their social, economic, religious, medical, physical status. We're going to figure out how to make this geographical group of people, or these people who have shared interests, shared experiences, shared ideas, and shared goals, how we're going to together make it powerful. When you show up with that committed attitude, then you're setting yourself to be ready to handle all the things that come with developing a cohesive community. So, my assignment for us today is to not only find a cohesive community organization, not only to just show up to a cohesive community organization, but to be committed to being a part of a cohesive community organization. Now, if you've looked around your community and you haven't seen one organization that you think, this one has got the right idea or they're on the right track, then consider that you might be the one or one of the few that need to come together and start that community organization within your community. Now, I will tell you firsthand that I am not one to want to duplicate what is good and already happening. So be sure that you do your research and find out if there is some community organization within your community that will speak to the principles of cohesive community. And then make sure you go in with a spirit of love to fellowship and to be a committed part of making the cohesive community happen. When you start to doing that, then you're going to see changes. Maybe subtle, maybe dynamic in the beginning, but they're going to be changes that you help make. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.
Looking for a dynamic workspace to fuel your creativity and boost productivity? Welcome to the Innovative Action Center, your hub for co-working and meeting space at 346 North Main Street, Troy, North Carolina. Become a member and enjoy 24/7 access, high-speed Wi-Fi, cozy coffee bar, and snacks to keep you energized. Elevate your business game with our membership packages. For more information, contact us at 910-573-3070 or visit sandhillscooperation.org. The Innovative Action Center is more than a workspace. It's a community dedicated to business development and job creation. Join us for monthly workshops, seminars, and entrepreneurial services. Take your business to new heights at the Innovative Action Center. Visit us today.
Beyond the Barriers Nugget of Wisdom from Coach Cindy.
Hi, this is Coach Cindy with your weekly nugget of wisdom. The January winds has made it cold outside. But what is it like in your heart today? Let's warm up to some real good loving, the love of Christ. You know, the type of love that does not seek her own, but behaves well, is always patient and kind, that never thinketh to do anything to hurt others, but rejoice in doing good, bearing and believing, hoping and enduring all things, and never failing. When we learn to love ourselves and love others in this life-giving way, we bring warmth to the world. So let's heat things up with our love today. I am. How about you?
Beyond the Barriers Nugget of Wisdom from Coach Cindy.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.
We've been discussing policy pioneers, navigating advocacy in community. Join us next week as we discuss catalysts for change, philanthropic work within communities.
We want to thank today's guest, Mr. George Knight, as well as Mr. Chip Foust, for joining us in today's studio. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Continue to tune in every Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. Please listen live 24/7 by going to wdrbmedia.com and click on the Listen Live tab. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show or want free advertising, call us at 910-573-3070 or email us at sandhillscooperation@gmail.com. Connect with us on social media at Sandhills Cooperation Association, also at Beyond the Barriers Radio Show. You've been listening to Beyond the Barriers Radio Show, and we are your hosts, Mayor Sherry
and Coach Cindy, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. For double the information and inspiration, Sowing seeds of change, breaking barriers, and transforming lives. That's what we do at Beyond the Barriers. Until next week, continue to be blessed.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.